The minutes of the 71st Annual General Meeting, can I take these as read? Is that taken as read from Mr. John Park? Okay, so going on, I thank Mr. Park and Mr. Gibson for proposing and seconding these minutes. And now for my report. For those new to the work of GGG, our charity continues to provide vital support services to thousands of older adults throughout Glasgow, and in a bid to combat loneliness and isolation. Daycare centres, weekly clubs, welfare and befriending services remain at the heart of the service provision, with significant increases in demand for all services. Reduced funding across the third sector remains a huge challenge for all charities, as does the demand on the public to support. During the financial year of 1920, we used reserves to implement a planned structure. This included funding temporary office accommodation, while office space was developed within our David Cargill Centre here in the south of the city. We are now on a strong footing to meet the challenges we know lie ahead. Glasgow's golden generation will move forward cautiously into the new financial year with uncertain political and economic landscapes globally, largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sustainability of existing services and an introduction of new services to combat the effects of COVID-19 virus pandemic will be prioritised as we anticipate huge demand to support older adults in the communities of Glasgow. 2021 will see further growth of GGG service provision, including innovative technological advancement and the distribution of tablet computers to older adults across the city. A GGG app has been created and partnerships with associated organisations have been formed as we strive to introduce technology to many older adults across Glasgow. 15,000 food provisions are predicted to be delivered, and we anticipate as many as 20,000 calls will be made to those requiring befriending services before the end of 2020. The dedicated team and board of trustees at Glasgow's Golden Generation must be commended for their hard work and ensuring the strategic direction of the charity. Vital funding has been secured through 2019 and 2020, and we offer our thanks to all our donors, individuals, trusts and grant-making bodies for their contributions. Without you, we simply could not deliver our vast range of services and help so many within our community. At this point, I would like you to join me in a very heartfelt thanks to Morag McIntosh for the restructuring and drive given by her to bring this charity forward. This lady has galvanised enthusiasm and interest in the charity by all who work in it, and it is without doubt due to her that we have a more coherent form of discipline and management in GGG. I am very glad to say that we are not losing Morag. Morag has agreed, she's only retired from the day-to-day running of the team, but she has agreed in due course to join the board in a full advisory position, as she has a lifetime of experience which we do not want to lose. To you, Morag, can I say on behalf of everybody, our very warm thanks for all you have done for this charity. Excuse me. But all is not lost. On Morag's advice, we found a very worthy replacement in the human form of Richard Donald. Richard joined us over a year ago and has been Morag's deputy and has now agreed to take up full-time the position of CEO, which he did in July this year. Richard's experience in the charity field is extensive, as well as management roles in hospitality industry, and it was with his reputation and track record that we encouraged him to join us. And I must say, he has thrown his full energy into continuing our growth and stability. Richard, we wish you all the success for the future. Another person I would like to acknowledge is Fiona Walker, who has taken on the Herculean task of turning around our financial management on the day-to-day basis, along with the HR responsibilities that seem to have landed at her feet. But I am equally confident that with her extensive abilities, the challenges in front will be easily handled. Again, Fiona, I wish you continued success. Every year remains challenging for GGG as a charity and for the needs of so many older adults in Glasgow. However, with your support, we can remain a lifeline for so many in our community. Excuse me. Before we move on, can I ask if anyone has any questions so far?
Chairman, there are no questions at this time.
Right. I now have greetings from the Lord Provost.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure as the Lord Provost of Glasgow to be given the opportunity to send this welcome and congratulations to Glasgow's Golden Generation on the occasion of their 72nd AGM. I can assure you that your AGM is a highlight of Glasgow's civic calendar. It's disappointing, however, that I cannot meet with you and welcome you in person this year due to the current pandemic and the Scottish Government regulations prohibiting large gatherings. However, I am pleased that we are still able to meet virtually. I am proud to say that the Golden Generation, formerly known as the Glasgow Old People's Welfare Association, is a great and true friend of the Council and this city. Glasgow City Council hugely appreciates the work that you do to help the elderly across our communities every single day. And in these challenging and difficult times, your work is even more important than ever, since the elderly are among those most impacted by the virus and the health and social restrictions it has imposed. I know that organisations like yours are a welcome constant in our ever-changing world and a true comfort to a great deal of people. Now more than ever, our elderly require help and support, and I thank you therefore on behalf of those who help their friends and families and the whole city for all your remarkable charitable work day in, day out, and for making such a positive difference. I understand that throughout this pandemic, you are also using your daycare centres as service delivery points for emergency food parcels, which are distributed to those in need across the city. More than 12,000 delivered to date, I believe. This is a fantastic effort. The self-isolation that COVID-19 has demanded also means that the loneliness experienced by many elderly people has been hugely compounded. I am aware that the Golden Generation has been extremely busy trying to combat that particularly cruel aspect of our current living conditions through its marvellous befriending service. Volunteers making daily welfare and befriending calls. I am confident that this has been very much welcomed by all. In addition, you have been distributing newsletters and digital tablets to help the elderly community stay connected and in touch with the wider world. Another hugely valuable aspect of your remarkable charity's work is helping the elderly access welfare and benefit support. Something I know from my own constituency work. Many elderly people are sometimes reluctant to apply for or are sometimes unaware that they are entitled to. I believe that amounts to around £3.5 million a year, averaging about £4,000 per person. Your mission is to empower our elderly individuals and to help lift them out of poverty, regain their dignity and confidence, and feel better about their situations. Ladies and gentlemen, the work that you carry out in our communities is priceless, and it makes such a positive impact. It is good to know that Glasgow's Golden Generation is thriving. The people of Glasgow and this council owe you a great debt. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank you all and your office bearers, committee members and all the volunteers who devote their time and effort making your organisation such a success. The council is delighted to support your work and activities, and today I wish you an enjoyable and very productive meeting. You truly are delivering a gold-plated service to our citizens, and in the words of St Mungo, you are helping them to flourish. So thank you all very much indeed, and stay safe.
Thank you, Lord Provost, for these kind words and for the continued support that we get from the City Council. I'm now going to call on Mr. Jim Gibson, who will present the audited accounts. Jim, could you please take the chair?
Thank you, Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it has of course been an unprecedented year. I am pleased to present the accounts for the year to 31st March 2020, which have been duly audited and signed off. As our chairman has indicated, the year to March 2020 has been one of restructuring, modernisation, development, investment and innovation. We started the year in April 19, setting out on this development programme. This was partly achieved, but our plans for continuing progress have been severely dented by the corona pandemic. I am particularly indebted to Fiona Walker, who joined us in July 2019 as our Finance and Operations Director, and was immediately thrown in at the deep end with the task of understanding our systems and bringing our accounts up to date. She had found her feet when COVID struck, and so since March her time has been spent less on accounting and much more on coping with HR matters, including the ever-changing rules in government furlough schemes, than on day-to-day accounting. In everything, however, she has shown great energy, dedication and efficiency. We have challenges aplenty ahead of us. The accounts for Glasgow's Golden Generation show income of £762,000, compared with £1,077,000 the previous year. But the previous year's income included a special donation of £235,000, so that the effective drop in income was £80,000, due largely to decreases in grant and rental income. Our total expenditure was £1,056,000, compared with £896,000, reflecting the extra investment we made in staff. But the expenditure was offset by the gain on sale of our former headquarters at Sandiford Place. Our overall deficit was £166,000, which has been funded from reserves. While the support we received from the City Council has allowed our day centres to operate, we know that this funding will be cut back as a result of COVID and general economic pressures. We are therefore looking to develop and extend the good relationships which we have with trusts and major funders, as well as to maximise our income from donations, day centres and fundraising events. Perhaps foolishly last year, I said that we were well on our way to having a secure income stream for the future, but that is less secure now in a post-COVID world, and so we need to put all hands to the pump. Our charity shops in Partick and Shawlands are welcoming places which offer a wide range of goods and also offer house clearances, pickups and delivery, but they have been unable to generate as much turnover as we had hoped. Turnover increased from £66,000 to £76,000, but this was not enough to offset the additional costs of running our new Shawlands shop. We therefore incurred a loss of £28,000. In the long term, we are hopeful that the addition of the second shop in Shawlands will allow the shop's operation to become fully profitable, but this will take time as we emerge out of lockdown. Our pension deficit situation continues to improve. The deficit funding plan is working and our liability for future payments continues to reduce. Our balance sheet shows reserves of £650,000. While much of that is tied up or ring-fenced, we are in a strong position to meet the challenges ahead. Mark McRae, the audit partner of Martin Aitken & Co, is in the audience, and I wish to thank the auditors for their work on the accounts in the trying circumstances caused by COVID, which has added complications to the audit process. The auditors have given us a clean docket and have drawn our attention to the fact that there is ongoing uncertainty related to the virus pandemic, noting that we are highly dependent on receiving grant support and income in order to retain our going concern status. The auditors have reviewed our budgets for the next year and discussed the potential further impact of the pandemic with us. The audit opinion is not modified in this respect. Forward into the future, our multifaceted services of 3 day centres, welfare officers, weekly clubs and befriending services although presently restricted in what they can do, cover most of the city, offer excellent value and clearly meet a need for the elderly in Glasgow. Around 40% of our income comes from local authority and statutory funding, with the rest split between grants, trusts and other sources. But as noted above, the income from statutory sources is likely to drop sufficiently as public funds are squeezed. As a needs-led charity with a proven track record of developing and growing services for older people, in the coming year we will continue to seek further funding for the benefit of our senior citizens. We know that the service models which have worked well in the past need to change, but the needs of older people, such as social isolation, loneliness and the increasing incidence of dementia, are very real and need to be addressed. We are at the forefront of care for older people, looking energetically and imaginatively at new ways of working, and we intend to stay there. As Glasgow's Golden Generation, our tagline is Care in the Autumn Years, and we seek to be a model example of that care. We remain so grateful to the many volunteers, schools, individuals, board members and staff for the contribution they've made to our charity in the last year. We are passionate about the importance of the services we offer and which benefit so many senior citizens and their families. We ask you all for your continued support as we work to provide that absolutely vital care in the autumn years. Thank you for listening. May I ask if anyone has any questions? Mark McRae is also on hand to answer any technical questions on the audit. Thank you very much.
Treasurer, there are no questions at this stage.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jim, for that comprehensive report. At this stage, we now move on to the appointment of the auditors. And I would like to propose that Martin Aitken are reappointed as auditors. This is going to be proposed by Jim Gibson and seconded by Alistair Campbell. Has this been agreed? Yes. That being agreed, we are, as a board, going to put them forward as being the auditors for the next 12 months. We cannot get a vote of approval from the floor for obvious reasons, but the directors have agreed that this will be the case for the next 12 months. I'm now going to ask for the Reverend Wilson of the Church of Scotland to bring his greetings to the charity. Reverend Wilson.
Thank you for your invitation to be part of your annual meeting. It's my pleasure and privilege to bring you greetings on behalf of the Presbytery of Glasgow, and I'm only sorry not to be with you in person, but that's par for the course in 2020, unfortunately. I know that, like many charities and indeed churches, you will have faced up to the challenges of this year. It's been a pleasure to read of the work that you've been doing through your annual report, and I know that the work that you've been doing in befriending and supporting our golden generation will have been a lifeline during this time. It's been a real challenge for people who sometimes, at the best of times, can feel isolated and lonely. And so that will only have been exacerbated during this past year. So the way in which you've been able to support such people will have been invaluable. I'm sure at times it was literally a lifeline. Your work amongst dementia sufferers will have been creative, I know, over these recent months, because of course access to one another is limited. Nevertheless, it is vital. So thank you on behalf of the Church for the work that you're doing. I know that during this year too, you've been restructuring. You've recently had a changeover of CEO. It's no surprise that your recently retired CEO, Morag McIntosh, has been a driving force in the work that's been going on. We have the privilege of having Morag as one of our congregation members, and so it's no surprise that there's a great deal of energy behind all the work that you've been doing. May I wish your new CEO well, and to Morag, well, perhaps this time retirement may be for real, although I wouldn't necessarily count on it. But once again, thank you very much. much for this invitation to be part of your work. Any civilized society values its older people, and you are at the forefront of doing that work. As a church, it's our calling to be part of the salt and light of any society. And so it's our privilege to support you in your work, to thank you for your work, and to pray for your work. May God bless you in all that you do.
Thanks very much, Reverend Wilson. We greatly appreciate all the kind things you say, and we look forward to hearing from you at some stage in the future. I'm now going to call on Archbishop Tartaglia from the Roman Catholic Church of Glasgow, and he's going to bring us his greetings.
From my cathedral here in Glasgow, I'm pleased to greet the annual general meeting of Glasgow's Golden Generation. My message is being tele-recorded and, I understand, will be viewed at the annual general meeting. As you well know, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected and limited the lives of all of us for months. Now it is determining the way that this AGM is happening. It means too that Glasgow's Golden Generation will not be able to bring senior citizens together at the City Chambers this year for their usual festive meal in the run-up to Christmas. However, I hope that your organisation has been able to find ways to help Glasgow's senior citizens during this difficult and stressful time for older people. Loneliness may be a thing that some or even many senior citizens have experienced throughout this pandemic, and they will feel it even more acutely as Christmas draws near. I hope and pray that the situation will have improved to the extent that there can be more social contact among people. At this point, I would not bet on it, but I will still pray for it because people need each other. I'm conscious that this Christmas may be a difficult one for many people. Then again, the first Christmas was not easy either. And yet Jesus was born of Mary to bring light to a world in darkness. And that light continues to shine today. Accordingly, in the name of the Archdiocese of Glasgow, I greet all who are present at the 2020 AGM of Glasgow's Golden Generation, the Chief Executive, other officials, and other distinguished guests. I trust that the AGM will be a successful one and that your association will continue to serve Glasgow's senior citizens through this pandemic and into better times. I hope Glasgow's Golden Generation and all Glasgow's senior citizens have a safe, happy and blessed Christmas. May God bless you all.
Thanks very much, Archbishop. We greatly appreciate all that you've said. You hit the nail on the head when you used the word loneliness. That is indeed what we are here for. And it is our job, especially in these hard times, to do our best to help those who are lonely. At this stage in the game, we are bringing the conclusion to all the formal business. Before I hand over to our CEO, I'd like to mention a few people. Firstly, we did have a board member by the name of Alison MacDonald who had to relinquish her position due to personal circumstances, but we wish her well and we look forward to seeing her again in due course. Also, I would like to thank Mr. John Park. If anybody doesn't know Mr. John Park, then they've been hiding under a bush for the last 50 years. John has been involved with every aspect of Glasgow's social and committed life, and he has been a director of this charity for quite a number of years. I'm not going to say how long, but he has opted to relinquish this position, regrettably, from our point of view, and we'd like to thank him for all his contributions over the years. To you, John, I say thank you. Also, I have, after nearly 7 years, decided that it's time for me to demit office of being chairman. I am very fortunate in as much as I have a gentleman by the name of Alistair Campbell who's going to take over. Alistair's a retired director from one of the major whisky companies and is well versed in all aspects of IT and is well connected with many aspects of this charity. I'm sure he will be a great success in continuing the work of the charity, and I wish everybody to give him his wholehearted support. Thank you very much. There being no other business, the formal part of today's AGM is now over. So I would like to introduce Richard Donald, our new CEO, to give a charity update. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests. Again, thank you for joining us and a warm welcome to you all. As our Chairman already stated, these are hugely challenging times, and during these unprecedented circumstances, I am grateful to our audience for taking the time to be in attendance and logging on to our presentation and AGM. I would also like to thank our platform party and, of course, our virtual speakers for their pre-recorded welcome messages. During the financial year of 1920, Glasgow's golden generation made significant strides to improve by developing increasing numbers towards the service provision, modernising facilities, moving head office, restructuring of staff, and by implementing a fundraising and communication strategy to secure our future for many years to come. During this financial year, I was proud to be part of this investment and play a part in the evolution of GGG. I would like to take this opportunity and express my sincere thanks to our former CEO, Morag McIntosh, for her dedication towards our charity, for improving and breathing new life into GGG, and lastly, to have taken the time to mentor me personally as her successor, a role that I am proud to have taken on since the summer of 2020. I will, of course, strive to continue the great work of Morag with the support of our dedicated and supportive board and ensure that we continue to reach and support thousands of older people all over Glasgow. The service delivery is, of course, crucial to the work of GGG. Raising awareness and informing older adults and their families of how we can help was central to our growth strategy. GGG now have a database with 4,000 members, a strong following on social media, a multifunctional and informative website, and now our very own Glasgow's Golden Generation app. Prior to COVID-19 and in the financial year of 1920, major steps were undertaken to improve our daycare centres in terms of quality of service, repair, venue image, and by enhancing our activities programme for service users. A revised transport strategy briefly enabled higher numbers to attend prior to the outbreak, which is a concept that we will move forward. These vital services will return, and we look forward to this, when safe to do so, of course. In addition, and with the support of funders, we were able to develop our dementia programme to support those affected. This, of course, highlighted within our 2-year Think Dementia media partnership with the Herald and Glasgow Times. The Welfare and Benefits team continued to achieve incredible results. I am proud to report that over 3.5 million was generated for 900 clients during the 1920 financial year. What this means is that on average, each older person benefited their household purse by approximately £4,000 each year. This money each person did not know was available or even how to apply. Our befriending service, as always, continued to be a crucial service in the community. With a surge in demand during COVID-19, we are very grateful to our masses of volunteers who have always been there by phone or in person to ensure the delivery of this service. I would also like to pass on thanks and an acknowledgement to our club conveners for ensuring that our clubs ran smoothly during 2019-20 and continue to offer a wonderful service to hundreds of club members all over the city. March 2020 saw the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis. This remains a huge concern for the charity and the well-being of all older adults. Since March, GGG have sadly witnessed the harsh reality and the bite of COVID-19 towards the older generation of our city. Sadly, I can confirm that we have witnessed extreme cases of loneliness, isolation, fear, uncertainty, even starvation, and of course the sad passing of many within our community. As I reflect, I pass my most sincere condolences to the families of those lost during these times. The well-being of our service users is always central to our work. GGG adapted services swiftly during the pandemic. Daycare centres transformed into food delivery centres, with management from staff, volunteers, and many corporate supporters joined the ranks to help. This, in turn, also meant that hundreds of befriending calls were also delivered on a weekly basis to check the welfare of service users. Simply put, the service provision had to change to accommodate the needs of the older population in Glasgow. So far, nearly 14,000 emergency food parcels have been delivered to homes, while thousands of engaging weekly newsletters were and still are being distributed. The evolution of the newsletter also became a digital strategy, as GGG devised our very own app. This includes features such as online games, puzzles, music, video shows, video demonstrations, and so much more. But beyond this, crucially, was connectivity and an education for older people to use e-technology and have access to chat with family and friends on a regular basis. GGG have also gone one step further, thanks to funding, have circulated hundreds of iPads and tablets to those in our communities that do not have devices, in addition to those that do have the technology, who we encourage to download our app and stay in touch with GGG. It is estimated by January 2021, GGG will have made 20,000 befriending calls and offered a crucial lifeline to those behind closed doors. Since March, this has only been possible by phone or online. The welfare service also continues to run, but only by telephone, which slows the admin process down significantly. However, in spite of this, we would project that 500 clients will still have benefited from our service at the end of this financial year. 1920 had been a growth and development year for Glasgow's Golden Generation. This has continued into this current financial year. This has only been possible thanks to all our committed supporters, donors, and of course funders. So to echo Mike's words, I would also like to express my thanks to you all. I would like to thank our voluntary board of trustees for all their fantastic support, and also our wonderful staff and volunteers for exceptional work and dedication. Many staff and volunteers have been working frontline for GGG and ensuring that our programme during this pandemic has been met. No one should ever feel isolated or alone, and particularly not in the year 2020. Glasgow's Golden Generation will be there every step of the way to support older adults who can benefit from our range of services. We strongly urge the public to get in touch if they, someone in the family, or a friend needs support. We are always here and available to inform the public of how we can help. We look forward to 2021 with great positivity and hope, and for the further development of Glasgow's Golden Generation. Thank you. I would now like to ask if we have any questions, Neil, in the chat room.
Richard, there are no questions at this stage.
Thank you very much, Neil. And I'd like to thank you all once again for joining us here. Keep safe, keep well, and I would now like to hand you back to our chairman.
Right, so I'm now back on stream. Thanks very much, Richard. I have been asked if Morag would kindly offer a few words to the AGM, and I would ask Neil to click this over. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted I've been asked to give the vote of thanks at this, the 72nd AGM of Glasgow's Golden Generation, albeit it's in a very different format. Can I say thanks to the board for all their kind words to me in the annual report. It's been a privilege to have been appointed by the board as interim CEO of Glasgow's Golden Generation, and a great pleasure to have carried out this role. At this AGM, I'd like to thank the following: the board, speakers and staff. First of all, to the chairman, Mr. Michael Riddell. My thanks to him as the chairman and the board for their support to the charity throughout this year. To the Lord Provost, my thanks to Philip Bratt, Lord Provost of Glasgow, for his kind words of support to the work of the charity supporting the elderly in Glasgow. Glasgow City Council provides support in many different ways, but firstly providing much needed funding grants in order that Glasgow's Golden Generation can continue its work in Glasgow. To the Treasurer, presentation of the audited accounts by our Treasurer James Gibson. He's Treasurer of the Board and has always performed in depth and presented an account of the charity's finance in this very difficult year for the charity. The Moderator of the Church of Scotland, Reverend William Wilson, Moderator of Glasgow Presbytery Church of Scotland. May I thank the Reverend Wilson for taking the time out in his very busy schedule as Parish Minister and Moderator of Glasgow Presbytery, offering his greetings and support to this Glasgow charity looking after the elderly. My thanks to Archbishop Tartaglia. Great thanks. Thank you so much for offering your support on behalf of the Diocese of Glasgow. This is very much appreciated, and all the support you are giving to us in this really difficult pandemic year. And to the staff, volunteers, befrienders, club committee and members. To one and all of you, you have risen to this difficult situation in 2020, and I know it has not been easy for all of you, but you have all adjusted to the new ways of working in order to continue supporting the elderly to alleviate loneliness and isolation. Well done to you all. To Richard Donald, CEO. Thank you, Richard, Glasgow's Generation's new CEO, for sharing with us the highs and lows of managing a charity during this crisis. You know, Richard took on this role of CEO in August and has literally been thrown in at the deep end. Charities can't organise or engage in fundraising events at this difficult time. I also know that staff morale can be low, but Richard, you have offered encouragement and support to all, and it's very much appreciated. My personal thanks to Richard. I know you're not one to let difficult situations get you down, but I also know, and I'm convinced, that with you managing the charity, it will grow from strength to strength in 2021.
Well, thanks very much, Morag. Your words, as always, are greatly appreciated, and thank you for coming today as well. It's been a strange year, as everybody has said. I hope we never have to live through another one of these years. But we've had tough times before, and we'll handle tough times in the future. So thank you one and all once again. I should mention, please remember that you can download today's AGM on our website, and if you have any further comments, then please contact our head office, and Richard and his team can direct you from there. In previous years, as you know, being at the City Chambers, we've ended the AGM with tea and coffee and a chat, and we've been able to catch up with people from previous occasions. Well, I regret this situation has arisen where I cannot be in front of anybody to shake them warmly by the hand, or indeed for you to shake me warmly by the throat, no doubt. But can I just say, I will be around for the future like a ghost. Thank you, one and all. Good afternoon.